Elon Musk is about to turn over a new page of history. And he made a big announcement here. Watch the Tesla product launch event live on X. It's not a product unveil, it's a product launch. Driving here on FSD in Vancouver City, Canada, it's not ready to be a Robotaxi yet. So is it going to be a Robotaxi that's going to be launched, or are we going to see a completely new vehicle unveiled today? Not just unveiled, launched. Well, with this post from Elon Musk, that's certainly up for debate now. At the very least, of course, we will see the Cybercab, and we have some leaked details about it now. A Tesla Robotaxi will have butterfly wing doors and only 2 seats. Drive Tesla is predicting that it will also have wireless charging, which is highly likely. If it doesn't have it in the beginning, eventually it will definitely have it. Remember this photo that we have seen, possibly, of a Robotaxi that was leaked earlier? Yeah, this is probably it, but it's probably covered with so much camouflage that it's nothing like what it will actually look, although we could be seriously surprised later today. Also, Tesla will be hosting many watch parties at its stores for the event. For example, this one is in Toronto. Now, if you read the specific language from Tesla, they call it the We Robot event, where you will see the unveiling of the future of autonomy. So no hint of like a Model 2 being launched or anything like that. It's just about autonomy if we look at what Tesla is saying, but Elon Musk said it's a product launch, not just an unveiling. And Jim Cramer remains really bullish about this event. He says to buy Tesla stock before the event. He already said it earlier, but he's basically reiterating it again. He believes Tesla is about to hit a $1 trillion market cap again. He really thinks that the autonomous vehicle will be well received by Wall Street. That would be a little bit surprising because Wall Street really doesn't think that far into the future about FSD for Tesla specifically, with a few exceptions. So when he says that, what I hear is, oh, this is a pivotal moment in Tesla's history where analysts are actually going to start taking this part of Tesla's business extremely seriously. But remember, this is Jim Cramer we're talking about, so if anything, this could be a contraindicator. In fact, some Tesla investors are saying that the crash of Tesla stock has been confirmed because Jim Cramer has just turned so bullish about Tesla. Cathie Wood made a few comments about Tesla's Robotaxi. She says that Tesla's Robotaxis will have remote vehicle assistance and customer support. And there's actually a whole new blog post from ARK Invest about Robotaxis. They keep reiterating that they remain extremely bullish about Tesla stock, and their Tesla stock price target actually remains at $2,600 per share. And that's why they call it Tesla's multi-trillion-dollar Robotaxi opportunity. And they believe that the most likely case scenario of Tesla commercializing Robotaxis is actually next year. And if not next year, and then the next year, and then they only assign a 4% probability for 2027. And then after that, yeah, they basically believe it's almost definitely going to be commercialized before 2027 ends. And they also got a quote from Elon Musk directly: based on the current trend, it seems as though we should get miles between interventions to be high enough or to be far enough in excess of humans that you could do unsupervised possibly by the end of this year. I would be shocked if we cannot do it next year. Elon Musk has said similar things before, so I wouldn't really put a lot of weight on that, but eventually, one day, he will be right. And ARK Invest this time actually basically believes that Elon Musk is going to be right. Before, they didn't really agree with him to this extent as they do now. Then ARK Invest details how they believe Tesla is going to launch its Robotaxi service. Tesla's full autonomy solution should be compatible with vehicles equipped with Hardware 3 and Hardware 4, which is about 6.5 million vehicles globally, or 2.5 million cars in the US. They predict most of Tesla's Robotaxi fleet is likely to be owned and operated by third-party partners. I personally think it's much more likely that in the beginning, Tesla will own its own vehicles because it will want to have more control of the whole process and experience to make sure that everything works smoothly. But then later on, sure, yeah, there will be some third-party operators. And like Waymo, Tesla is likely to launch its Robotaxi service city by city, but unlike Waymo, it should be able to scale much faster. I wouldn't say should, I will say definitely will scale much faster than Waymo because it will not rely on HD maps, which just break so easily, or geofencing. Perhaps Tesla's most important advantage over Waymo. And again, I wouldn't say perhaps most important, I would say it is the most important advantage over Waymo that Tesla has, in addition to Elon Musk running the company. Based on ARC's research, Tesla's customer vehicles drive over 5 million miles per day in FSD and over 87 million miles per day when including US-only non-FSD miles, generating valuable video clips every single day for Tesla to use and train FSD further and further and better and better. For comparison, ARK Invest estimates that Waymo's fleet drives 70,000 miles per day, which looks like this. In addition to all of this, Waymo's fleet size and the limited driving conditions of the few cities in which it operates likely have restricted its access to real-world corner cases. In contrast, Tesla's fleet has been collecting diverse camera data from all over the US, including cities that are cold and it rains and there is snow. And it doesn't end there for Waymo. Additionally, thanks to its vertically integrated production, Tesla has a clear path to scaling its Robotaxi fleet, while Waymo must rely on Zeekr, which is a Chinese company. So that increases the risk of that company facing some hefty import tariffs. But that explains probably why Waymo has just entered into another manufacturing relationship with Hyundai specifically. Currently, ARK Invest estimates that Waymo's vehicles cost more than $100,000 to produce. Its sensor set alone, $40,000. How much does it cost for Tesla to make a Robotaxi? They will be able to do it for definitely under $30,000. If they really want to get the cost down, they can get them down a lot further than that. But today alone, they could just strip down the Model 3 and get a car that's much, much less expensive than anything that Waymo can produce. Tesla does need to build out its backend support for remote vehicle assistance, but that shouldn't be that hard. And now regulatory challenges. Well, ARK Invest believes that regulatory approval should pose fewer obstacles than how the technical challenges to solving full autonomy. I absolutely agree with that. Competitors, Waymo and Cruise, have paved the regulatory path, so it's not exactly, oh, no one has ever done this, we have no clue how to do it. No. It's already been done. And in the US, 40 states either have approved autonomous vehicles explicitly or have not prohibited them. And what about safety? Well, last year, Tesla's data already had demonstrated that its FSD-equipped cars were 5 times safer from accidents than its cars without FSD, although you have to consider that when I turn on FSD, it is going to be in locations that will not be the absolute most difficult, meaning the chances of crashing are lower, but still it's not going to be 5 times lower. This actually makes Tesla 16 times safer than the average car, says ARK Invest. Oh, actually, ARK Invest already adjusted the numbers for city street driving, but still you have to remember that you will not often turn on FSD when you are going through the absolute most difficult place in the city. Meanwhile, Waymo's cars are roughly twice as safe as the national average, with over 70% fewer injury crashes. So ARK Invest no doubt remains extremely bullish about Tesla. I also really like this chart that they have here. So they have different markets here and they have sizes of these markets. For example, $1 trillion addressable ride-ship in Western markets at about 1 trillion, and then non-commuting miles in higher income countries priced at 60 cents per mile. And you can see here the price points have color. So this was, for example, this is a market size if you can deliver the service at 25 cents per mile. And eventually, I believe Tesla's robotaxis will get to under 25 cents per mile. It will take time, maybe a long time, but I believe we will get there. And ARK Invest believes that this market is the size of $30 trillion. They predict that robotaxi platforms could scale to $4 trillion in net revenues in 2030. These numbers truly are, quoting Elon Musk, mind-boggling, which explains why ARK Invest has a Tesla stock price target for 2029 sitting at $2,600 per share. In the meantime, Tony Sacconaghi says Tesla will have difficulties leapfrogging Uber and Waymo. He said to hold Tesla stock and then sell before his big rise, and he never said buy. So if you were holding nothing, you made exactly nothing, and if you sold or shorted, you would have lost a lot of money. His average return per Tesla stock rating has been minus 14%, even though Tony overall is actually a decent analyst when it comes to Tesla. Oh, it's been bad and bad and bad and bad. But as far as bears go, he's one of the better ones. Now, I heard that Tony Sacconaghi is a really good Apple analyst, and I asked Grog how good was he when it came to predicting the iPhone. And here's what Grog says. In early 2007, Tony Sacconaghi claimed iPhones were gathering dust in backroom warehouses, implying that, yeah, this is not going to work. So maybe he's one of these analysts who's really good at predicting what companies that are already somewhat mature, or they figured out their business and they know exactly what product they need to scale, and it's already successful, but they just need to scale it. Maybe he's really good at that, but when it comes to seeing big changes coming, he has a track record of missing the biggest ones. And maybe that's why Alexandra Mers said in the chapter, let's nominate blind Wall Street analysts for the next stage of Neuralink experiments. She nominated Tony Sacconaghi. To be a Tesla bull, you need to open your brain. And I guess if you do get a Neuralink, that would literally happen. But for now, I prefer my brain to be open, metaphorically speaking. Now, there's some arguing about this whole Robotaxi thing. There are about 450 to 500,000 FSD owners in the US and Canada alone right now. So if Tesla could, they wouldn't need to build a new car to monetize this. You would just need to launch an app and let owners monetize their own cars, charge something like 75 cents per mile, and it would easily steal market share from ride-sharing taxi. It would also drive demand for FSD and Tesla vehicles through the roof because you would be making a lot of money from this. Tesla could charge a nominal fee and literally make bank on everything: the FSD sale, the cars, and service revenue from the Robotaxi network, and all of the costs of the vehicle are off Tesla's book. So this would be all profit. And then he says, but they can't do this because FSD requires an intervention every 200 miles. And a few years ago, it required an intervention every mile or 5 miles. Talking about safety critical interventions where, you know, you're about to die and you intervene. To some extent, it's based on the FSD community tracker. So let's say we used to be at 5 miles per intervention. And now if we are at 200 based on different locations, you're going to have a wildly different experience, of course. But going from 5 miles to 200 miles, that's a 40x improvement. So if we do another 40x improvement, we are going to go from 200 miles to now 8,000 miles. And if we do it one more time, we would be over 300,000 miles. And at that point, we would definitely see robotaxis. In fact, Waymo reports a disengagement once every 17,000 miles, and they are already operating a robotaxi. And that number is actually not even real because you can have, let's say the car gets stuck and it can't figure out what to do. You can send a person in there, and as long as you remove that obstacle and you don't turn off the full self-driving thing, it doesn't really count as an intervention. So the actual disengagement rate is substantially more frequent than what they report. There are more predictions for the event today. If I were a betting man, to unveil tomorrow robotaxi service via Cybercab and also a van. Actually, do you remember that list that leaked a while ago from a supplier which has proven so far relatively accurate with its dates? They had a van on the list. A van would be cool to see. If you remember, Tesla did have slides with a vehicle that looks like a van that was covered. So we know that Tesla is working on at least 3 more vehicles that have not been unveiled yet. Farzad made some predictions, and Steven actually disagrees with some of his predictions. Robotaxi with 2 seats and no steering wheel or pedals is expected by Farzad at the event. Compact car, perhaps on the same platform, with steering wheel and pedals. Then a van, and a Tesla robotics ecosystem. So all 3 cars capable of level 5 autonomy, fully unsupervised forever. Obviously, we don't have that capability yet, so that remains to be achieved in the future, according to ARK Invest, in the very near future. And that's where Steven fires back with, why would Tesla unveil a new vehicle to sell to consumers at an autonomy event and shoot a cannonball through their Model 3 and the Model Y order flow? That's because the compact would be significantly differentiated from the Model 3 and the Y a two-seater, 0 to 60 in 8 seconds with 250 miles of range only. Wouldn't be surprised if it's just 200 miles. Steven Mark Writing expects that such a vehicle eventually will exist and will be produced on the same platform, so modular manufacturing, as a dedicated robotaxi. But why would Tesla unveil this vehicle at an autonomy event? And that could be because it's ready for production. And according to him, that's the only valid reason. And if that happens, Wall Street, I think, would actually be bullish about the event, which is maybe what people like Jim Cramer are anticipating. Oh, and what do we have here? This is the first Model Y Juniper refresh, which was spotted in Europe, specifically in Spain. It was spotted at night, so it was a bit difficult to see, but you can see that it is a Model Y indeed. There's always a possibility it's something else, but I think looking at that vehicle, it's very likely it is a Model Y, which means we are getting very close to production actually starting, which would be great for Tesla sales. People love the new Model 3, so people will definitely love the new Model Y as well. Some people are asking though, why Spain? I say, why not? It's far away from everyone, so it's harder to spot it, but some people still saw it and spotted and took pictures, and now we know about it. And if you remember, the last time you saw Tesla testing the new Model 3 before its launch was also in Europe, when it was spotted in Germany just a few days before the new car debuted in China. So could this mean we are super close to Tesla launching the new Model Y? It's possible, but if you go with what Tesla said earlier, it's not going to launch in 2024. It's set for a 2025 launch date. Here's some more Tesla news. Starting tonight, Tesla is offering a new record low loan rate of 0% for new Model 3 and Model Y finance orders in the US for loan terms up to 72 months with a minimum down payment of 15%. But the $7,500 federal tax credit will be applied if eligible. This is not really Tesla lowering the price. Well, it's sort of lowering the price of FSD, you could say, because you have to buy FSD if you want to get the 0% financing deal. There's no time frame for this. They just say you have to buy the vehicle on or after October 8th. And this deal will definitely, for sure, 100% will help Tesla sell more FSD packages. But I agree with James that many people will still not buy FSD. Usually James doesn't like price cuts, but this one he doesn't mind at all. Anyway, this is great news for anyone who wants to buy a Tesla with FSD specifically. And even if you don't want FSD, give it a try. Go on a long drive with FSD in your city and you might be surprised. Maybe you will actually love it. Omar did the math on this and he says that you can basically get FSD for just $34 a month with this deal. Here you can see if you had a 5% interest rate here, you're paying $527, and if the interest rate is now at 0, you're paying $561. Ooh, and this is now official. Now Foundation Series Cybertruck deliveries have now begun. Here's the first one, or one of the first ones. It's finally here. And a California police department has unveiled the world's first in-duty Tesla Cybertruck. They made a pretty cool video as well showing the Cybertruck. Looks pretty cool. There is no criminal on this earth that would prefer to be chased in a Cybertruck as opposed to pretty much any regular police car. This looks like CGI, but this is the real thing. And here's the interior of it. There are a few changes, as you can see, a few extra items. James has a point here though. Imagine seeing one of these behind you with lights flashing. It would be a pretty scary pullover. Tesla has removed the Model 3 from the referral program in Canada and the US, but actually I did a bit more research and it's only in Canada. So the Model 3 sales in Canada are doing really well. We also have some new records coming from China. The Tesla Giga Shanghai factory reported wholesale sales of 88,000, which leads to a new record quarter in Q3, as you can see here. This is almost 250,000 vehicles. And this is insanely good, actually. This number has not been reported yet. Look at this chart and tell me if you spot something very unusual in a very good way, right here. Can you see this? This is by far the best week that Tesla has ever had in China ever. Not just by a little bit, but it's not even close. We have not seen a jump like this in a long time. So this is great news. So this was the week before the last week. The latest week is 1,700 deliveries, which is largely due to the Chinese national holiday. So I wouldn't expect high numbers because of that. That super good week, that was in the previous quarter, which means that the sales elsewhere were weaker than earlier anticipated. But it's confirmed that Tesla has set a new all-time quarterly sales record in China. This is how China and Europe compare. And here's an easier way to compare the two. This is China and this is Europe. And sales in Canada as well as the rest of the world are actually up. So they're only down in the US and Europe. By the way, that holiday in China, it wasn't just like a one-day holiday. It was a week-long holiday. This is quite relevant to us Tesla stock investors. Gordon Johnson said that Tesla only collects 1 in 10,000 miles, so really Waymo has more? This is obviously incorrect. What Elon said is that 1 in every 10,000 miles has some interesting new edge case or training data. Not that they can only sample a small percentage of miles traveled. Even James guesses that for Waymo to make a new car, it costs $130,000 to $150,000. So that alone makes it hard for Waymo to scale. Ray says, last night my Cybertruck on FSD dodged a cargo trailer with its rear side partially sticking out into the lane I was on. I wonder how it would have reacted had there been a vehicle in the right lane next to me. So this was a great dodge by FSD. And this wasn't even anything that was like, oh, okay, we got to dodge. No, it was very controlled, smooth. I experienced things like this many times on FSD myself. Oh, did you know that Tesla just produced its 400,000th Model Y in Giga Berlin? It's a pretty big achievement for Tesla's factory in Berlin. Wow, almost daily looking at this Tesla semi factory, I see progress. Look at how many walls are up now. Just for last time I posted about this just now, we didn't have this much progress. Also, the Hollywood diner is showing some great progress. While OpenAI implies losing $14 billion in 2026, we know that Tesla is actually making some money from FSD today. And look at this. This is CNN, and they are saying that they messed up and drove away Elon Musk from the party. Yeah, definitely not inviting Elon, for example, to the EV summit, talking about electrifying the automobile industry when Tesla sold more EVs in the US than all of these other American automakers combined. Yeah, not inviting Elon Musk to that summit was not a good move. And this is going to be it for today's video. And I will probably be back on Saturday or Monday. And I will be posting probably a summary of the event that is going to happen later today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.